The 12th minute, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Brazil have a penalty. The most expensive squad in South American football history. The five-time champions. 5 days ago, the goalkeeper standing between the posts on Norway's side of the pitch had no club. His contract at Sevilla FC expired on the 30th of June. On the 5th of July, 5 days into unemployment, Ørjan Nyland is a free agent standing in a World Cup round of 16, about to face a penalty from one of the most expensive midfielders in European football. Bruno Guimaraes begins his run-up, stutters, and Nyland dives left. Save. His market value, according to Transfermarkt, is 800,000 euros. That is not a typo, and it is not a rounding error. 800,000 euros. The Brazilian squad he is saving penalties against is valued at 928 million euros. The gap between those two numbers, between what the market says the entire Norway goalkeeper is worth and what Brazil's squad cost, is 927.2 million euros. He made 2 more outstanding stops before halftime. Then Haaland scored twice in the final 11 minutes, and Norway won 2-1. Norway are in their first ever World Cup quarterfinal. The free agent goalkeeper, aged 35 with a career built entirely in the backup tier of European football, is the reason they got there. This is his story, and it begins in a place that has nothing to do with football. Ørjan Nyland was born in Volda, a small municipality on the western coast of Norway, in September 1990. As a child, he competed in handball, alpine skiing, and football simultaneously. An entirely normal pattern in Norwegian youth sport, where the selection pressure that sorts elite athletes into single disciplines in other countries arrives later than it does in England or Spain or Germany. He was, by his own account, a better handball player than a football player for years. The coordination, the reflexes, the spatial reading that handball demands from a goalkeeper, the ability to move laterally across a small area and make decisions about where a ball will be in the next half second, transferred eventually into the football position he would occupy for the rest of his professional life. He was not a prodigy. He was not scouted young by a major club. He developed at HUD, an entirely unglamorous local club in the Norwegian league, without the kind of academy investment that turns teenagers into transfer fees. What he became at HUD, he became slowly, through the accumulation of starts in a league nobody outside Norway was watching, until the 2012 Norwegian Cup final, when he was named man of the match, and Molde came for him the following year. Molde, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was where Nyland became a proper professional rather than a promising one. He won the Elite Syrian title in 2014, won the Norwegian Cup twice, and competed at a level that was, for Norway, elite, but which the wider European football market rated approximately as it rates all Norwegian domestic football, as a reasonable starting point for potential future development, not a destination. He was 27 when Aston Villa signed him in August 2018. It was at that stage the biggest club of his career, the biggest league, and the biggest opportunity. Aston Villa terminated his contract in 2020, 18 months after signing him, without him having established himself as the clear first choice the club needed. He went to Norwich City, where he won the championship as part of a promoted squad, but found himself competing for minutes rather than owning them. Then AFC Bournemouth briefly. Then Reading in League One, a third-tier English club, by any measure a step down from the level he had reached at Villa. Then RB Leipzig in Germany on a 9-month deal, primarily as backup, winning the DFB Pokal, when the team's campaign brought a domestic cup medal that his own appearances had contributed to only partially. Then Sevilla, on a free transfer in August 2023, where he spent 3 seasons at a historically significant Spanish club that was itself going through financial turbulence severe enough to affect squad construction, and where his role was backup and occasional starter behind whoever Sevilla previous first choice was in a given month. The through line of this career after Molde is not failure. It is a specific category of professional footballer that European football produces in large numbers and values in the narrow range between barely worth it and reliably useful. The backup goalkeeper at a mid-table European club. The third choice starter who wins a cup medal in a season where the first choice carried the league campaign. The veteran who extends his career across multiple countries by being dependable enough that clubs on tight budgets keep finding a use for him. He signed for every club from Aston Villa onward on a free transfer. Nobody paid a fee for Ørjan Nyland after he left Norwegian football. The market had made its assessment of what he was worth to carry in a squad budget, and that assessment was the cost of his wages, nothing more. This is the career the market is pricing at 800,000 euros, not contemptuous of, not written off as worthless, but valued precisely at the level the evidence suggested was correct for a 35-year-old free agent whose best season was at Molde a decade ago. His Sevilla contract ran until the 30th of June 2026. Norway's World Cup group stage concluded on the 27th. He walked into the round of 32 against Ivory Coast and the round of 16 against Brazil. As a player whose club employment had technically already ended, there is no precedent in the specific combination of free agent, 35 years old, backup goalkeeper at a mid-table Spanish club performing in a World Cup round of 16. There is also no precedent in what came next. Brazil had been given a 53.6% probability of winning the match by the Opta statistical model. Their attacking line included Vinicius Jr., the 140 million euro Real Madrid winger who had scored in all three group stage matches and had been Brazil's most dangerous player throughout the tournament. The penalty in the 12th minute, awarded after a VAR review confirmed Ager's foul on Cunha, gave Brazil the clearest possible opportunity to take control of the match before it developed into something more complicated. Nyland went left. Guimarães' stutter in his run-up gave him the fraction of a second he needed to read the direction. The ball arrived at reduced pace. The save was clean enough that Guimarães turned away immediately. No moment of thinking it might still go in. Brazil's best opportunity to lead in the first half, gone. The two stops that followed in the remainder of the first half added the dimension that one penalty save can sometimes disguise. Nyland denied Gabriel Martinelli from close range, a stop that required him to be set correctly and react in less than half a second. He denied Vinicius Jr. from point-blank range, a chance that Vinicius' own movement before the shot suggested he considered finished before Nyland's hands intervened. The FIFA match report noted it was Nyland's legs that denied them, a nod to the handball background, the lateral quickness, the specific way a former handball goalkeeper positions his body differently from a conventionally trained football goalkeeper. He sent the teams into halftime at 0-0, having faced 4 genuine scoring opportunities and stopped all 4. What followed across the second half until Haaland scored twice in the final 11 minutes added a 5th outstanding save. A reflex stop from a Christopher Ager deflection in the 62nd minute that was heading into the corner opposite to where Nyland had committed his weight. Reversing that momentum, getting his hands to a ball going in the wrong direction from where he'd moved. That is the save that does not appear on a highlights reel as clearly as a penalty stop does, but that the goalkeeper coach watching the recording in the days after will identify as the one that shows you something specific about a player's reflexes and repositioning speed at 35. His own quote after the match was simple. "It's hard to describe these emotions," he said. That was it. No elaboration, no performance for the camera, no commercial instinct about how to land a quote. Hard to describe. A man who had spent 35 years in a sport that had consistently valued him at the level of a functional squad backup who was 5 days into unemployment. describing a moment that had no equivalent in his career. Here is the financial context that the match report doesn't include. Jordan Pickford, England's starting goalkeeper in the quarterfinal on Saturday, is valued at approximately 20 million euros by the same Transfermarkt database that values Nyland at 800,000 euros. That is a gap of roughly 19.2 million euros between the two goalkeepers who will start at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Pickford plays his club football for Everton in the Premier League, has been England's first choice for multiple tournament cycles, and carries the institutional weight of one of European football's most watched leagues behind his valuation. He is younger, more commercially visible, and playing for a squad valued at 1.36 billion euros, the most expensive in this tournament. Nyland is without a club. He has been for 8 days at the point the quarterfinal kicks off. He will walk onto that pitch at 35 years old, representing a national team worth 589.9 million euros, with a personal market value of 800,000 euros, having been contractually unemployed for longer than he's been in the tournament at this stage. The market's assessment of the goalkeeper matchup in Miami is not subtle. England's first choice costs roughly 25 times what Norway's does, by Transfermarkt's measure, and the squad behind him costs more than twice as much in total. What the market does not carry in any of those numbers is what Nyland demonstrated against Brazil. Not just the penalty save, which might be attributed to luck or guesswork or a specific read on one specific shooter. The full 90 minutes, 5 opportunities stopped. A first half display that kept a match alive long enough for Haaland to win it. The specific competence of a 35-year-old goalkeeper who has played at enough different clubs in enough different countries against enough different penalty takers to develop the kind of contextual reading that a statistical model cannot generate from his age and his contract status and his market value. The specific quality that makes a goalkeeper effective in a World Cup knockout match is not the quality the market values most. Market value for a goalkeeper in European football tracks league level, age, and the commercial profile of the club employing them. It does not track the ability to read a Brazilian midfielder's body language during a stutter-stepped penalty run-up at the 12th minute of a round of 16 match. It does not track what a 35-year-old goalkeeper who spent his youth playing handball as much as football has learned across 1,000 matches in 5 different countries over 15 professional years about where a ball is going before it leaves the striker's foot. What the market values in Nyland, it has already decided. 800,000 euros, without a club, career in the backup tier, 35, done. What the pitch showed against Brazil is something no transfer database has a column for. It showed a goalkeeper who faced 8 genuine goal-scoring opportunities in 90 minutes, stopped 7 of them, allowed 1 consolation penalty in the 10th minute of stoppage time with the match already won, and walked off having sent the 5-time world champions home. The room full of people who set prices for footballers will not revise Nyland's market value significantly because of this match. He is still 35, he is still without a club. The career he had before July 5th is still the career the market uses to calculate what he is worth. One outstanding match does not move a price that has been set by 15 professional years of evidence in the opposite direction. But the price is not the match. The match is the match. And the match says something the price will never say about what a 35-year-old free agent who grew up playing handball in Western Norway delivered on the biggest stage of his career. You are watching this for a reason, because somewhere a market has already decided what you are worth based on the evidence it has access to, your history, your level, your age, the prestige of the institutions that have employed you, the career arc that the data can see and measure and compare. Nyland's evidence said backup goalkeeper, expired contract, 800,000 euros without a club. The market was not wrong to reach that number. That is what the visible evidence supports. But the evidence the market uses is not the only evidence that exists about a person. What the market cannot access is what 15 years of professional goalkeeping across 5 countries at Molde and Aston Villa and Norwich and Leipzig and Sevilla had deposited in Ørjan Nyland's understanding of how a striker moves before a penalty, how a body signals direction before a ball leaves the boot, how to hold a defensive line together with hand signals and positioning, and the vocal organization that a goalkeeper provides to the players in front of him. None of that is in the 800,000 euro valuation. The valuation is built from career trajectory, club prestige, minutes played, age curve. It is not built from what 35 years of life and 15 years of professional goalkeeping made of a person from Volda who started out playing handball as much as football and ended up in a World Cup round of 16 with no club behind him and no contract to return to. He saved the penalty. He saved the match. In the moments after the final whistle, after Norway had beaten Brazil for the second time across 2 generations of the Haaland family, Nyland stood in the area where he had spent 90 minutes and described the experience as hard to put into words. A man who had spent his professional career being accurately priced at the level of a functional squad backup ran out of language for the first time on the most significant night of his career. On Saturday, he will be in goal against England, a squad worth 1.36 billion euros, a goalkeeper opposite him valued at 20 million euros. The same Nyland, still without a club, still valued at 800,000 euros, still 35. The number the market puts on you does not change because of one match. It incorporates the evidence slowly over time from many matches using criteria that the performance in a single knockout game does not immediately satisfy. He will walk onto that pitch with the same market value he carried into the Brazil match. The score of that Brazil match does not transfer to a new column anywhere in the Transfermarkt database, but the pitch in Miami will be the same pitch it always is. 90 minutes, no adjustment for market value, no waiting for career trajectory or contract status or the prestige of the institution that last employed you. The number the market puts on you is not the number you are. It is the number the market can see. What the pitch sees is different. Follow for the next story.